I wish that men knew that every woman is different, and that just because they are a master at one, they are not a master of all.
Welcome to Reclaim Your Radiance, a sex, love, and relationship podcast where our focus is on your most important relationship, the one with yourself. Each episode, we are joined by an insightful guest who shares their story about how they've become their best, most radiant selves, despite diverse challenges. We dive into the depths of loving yourself, creating healthy relationships, and prioritizing pleasure, play, and joy, all while never shying away from the tough stuff. Are you ready? Let's get to it. Hello, and welcome back to the Women's Pleasure Podcast series. This episode is all about what women wish that men knew about women's pleasure. If you want to listen to what brings a woman pleasure very specifically from the mouths of 12 wonderful women, actually, there's 13 if you include my response, which is a beautiful, very witchy, womanly number, which brings me a lot of pleasure in this moment saying that. If you haven't listened yet, please go back to the latest episode, listen to part 1, get those juicy insights, and come on back over to this one. This can also be thought of as, what do I wish my lover knew about women's pleasure? Or, as we like to call them, people with pussies and people with penises, as they may be of any gender. However, for simplicity's sake, we will be referring to them very often as man and women, but just know that all genders and expressions of sexuality are welcome and seen here. I definitely think that anyone who interacts with or owns a pussy will have a wonderful ride listening to this episode. It is my hope that it will make some of you yell audible, "Fuck yeah!" and also have some of you furiously scribbling notes for later. And once again, I would love to give a huge shout out and thank you, and to celebrate every woman and feminine being who was super, super brave to have their voice on this podcast. Thank you so much to the women who responded. And I'm celebrating all the women who also discovered that it wasn't for them and chose not to respond, and celebrating every single one of you for thinking about it and thinking it over, and really just letting this generate the question of, what would my response be? And what brings me pleasure? And what do I want my partner to know about my pleasure? It's beautiful, beautiful questions to contemplate. And I just love that that is what this is all about. And so once again, for the flow of this episode, I will be commenting and discussing the point brought up after every submission, so don't be alarmed when my voice pops in after every single one. Women's pleasure, I won't get into it as deeply as I did in the beginning of the first episode. Go back and listen to that one, but damn, it is just so important. It is something that we really do need to reclaim, and we are slowly but surely, and it'll probably just, it's starting. It's really like the revolution of women's pleasure is coming, and it's so exciting, and it's a beautiful time to be alive, and it really is returning. We are getting the chance to reclaim our power. Even when I was a young teen, we had to listen to, trash in magazines talking about how important certain things are in the bedroom and like making everything so one-dimensional. And yet now we can talk about it in a whole new way. Imagine where we'll be in 20 years. It's so exciting to think about. And so being able to celebrate it in this way is one of the deepest honors of my life. And I'm so excited to keep going and keep celebrating pleasure and pussies and sex and intimacy in this way. So thank you so much for listening. It means the world to me. This is one of the greatest passions and pleasures of my life. And for those of you who want to deepen your pleasure and explore your sexual energy and empower your sensual selves, open up your hearts, learn better emotional management and fluidity, I am hosting a series of 2 live in-person workshops this March of 2024 in Vancouver, Canada. So this is just for the locals, but please reach out to me directly or using the contact link in the podcast description. It's going to be so amazing. You can also join it by clicking on the links directly in the podcast description or by visiting my website, krishall.ca. Or are you ready? Are you ready for a new WhatsApp announcements channel where you can get updates without any chatter, any noise of social media? You don't have to comb through it. You don't have to I was on Instagram at the right time and I saw the story. No. It's all the time. You don't have to deal with group chat dynamics. It's just pure announcements. And it will be about the podcast and workshops and retreats and coaching offers and more. It's going to be a beautiful place for all those who, like me, are kind of allergic to email, but I will send you emails if you want to. There's a link for that too. And for those who maybe want to avoid social media a little bit more. So that is there for you. Please join if you are called to, and you will get notifications about all the juicy things. All right. So next, I'd like to get into my personal answer. So what do I wish that men knew about women's pleasure? There are a lot of things on that list. And you know what? We're going to go deep real fast. We're going to get into the meat of this. Because the first thing that I wish men knew is that it's not about what happened. It's about how they react to it. So, for example, if you ejaculated sooner than you wished, or maybe you weren't able to get an erection, it's all about how you react to it. Do they turn away in shame or wallow in grief, shutting their partners out and disconnecting? Or do they use this as an opportunity and a way to connect, to be vulnerable, to share? I know, and I can imagine, I can't know. I really don't know. I can imagine how difficult that is. I really can. But at the same time, I really think that these are the moments that can define you as a lover. Do you invite your partner in, or do you shut them out? Right? If you react to it in a certain way that shuts them out and shuts down the entire experience, that's what's going to really suck. It's not going to be that, this thing happened. No, we are going to have a lot of compassion. But if you're in the heat of it and all of a sudden nothing else matters, including you and your pleasure and your connection, because something happened that you weren't expecting or didn't hope to happen, come on. It shuts the whole thing down. I really, really hope that my pleasure is more important than your shame. Maybe not more important, but equally important, and that one can be talked about following the other, right? Let's stop. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what happened. And then are we able to stay in that space? Or can you trust maybe that we can talk about it afterwards? It does come with a lot of trust. It does come with an intimate connection. But the worst part about that, and maybe that's just me, but I'm really truly speaking from my own lens here, the worst part is when you feel like you are no longer important, your pleasure is no longer important, and all of a sudden you just feel disconnected. I think that's where some of the most incredible sex comes from, because this is a deep connection. This is being able to witness each other in some of the most vulnerable experiences of our human lives. So being able to be in connection and remain in connection through that, oh my God. And being that vulnerable, oh man, that's sexy. Do you want to be a masterful lover? Open up and share the truth. And then prioritize your partner's pleasure. It's not all about you. We have been taught and told and shown that our pleasure takes too long, isn't important, and that sex ends when a man ejaculates. That has been drilled into us. Pun definitely kind of intended, for ages. Don't tell me that you value my pleasure. Show me. If you ejaculate sooner than you wanted to, enjoy the orgasm, share whatever is coming for you, and then ask me if there's anything that we can do for my pleasure. Because it is so hard to bring up your pleasure when your lover is clearly in pain or sad or shameful or experiencing tough emotions. Help us. Show us that you care. Show us that our pleasure matters. I do not want to be told later that of course my pleasure matters. I want to be shown. Actions are so loud. If the point of sex is connection, one of the main pillars of sex is connection, this is one of the ways that you can continue to connect and move together instead of move apart. I also really wish men knew how important it is with a long-term lover to ask and really listen about any sexual trauma that your partner may have experienced. It's not every woman, but it's a lot of us. So get curious around what our wounds may be so that we can heal together. A lot of sexual healing, some sexual healing, is best healed together, right? You can do a lot on your own. It's the same as figuring out how to be in a relationship. You do a lot of it, and a lot of it has to be done on your own. And then there's a lot of it that has to be done together. And it could be something that feels so small, but it is so important. It can be that they need you to not touch a certain part of them. Or it could be that they don't want a part of their body to be called a certain term. Or it could be that they need you to ask before touching a specific part of them. Honor the fact that these may seem small, but they are not for anyone who's experienced any sort of sexual trauma. And unfortunately, a lot of us have. It's a good conversation to have, and probably not when you're about to get sexy. And in that space, in that sexual energy, maybe outside of that. But it's, oh my gosh, it's such an important conversation to have. And to listen and really pay attention. I also wish that men knew how much pleasure can be had from every part of your body, not just on your pussy. I wish men knew that they don't always have to rush and concentrate so hard just on that part of your body. They can take their time, and what may seem like simple parts of your body have so much pleasure in them. Oh my gosh. Especially when you haven't been touched in a day, and it's like, oh, everything just is so sensitive and so ready to be lit up. There's so much pleasure absolutely everywhere in the body, and exploring it is such a gift. And finally, I wish men knew that all women are exquisitely different, and that a lot of us are the experts on our own bodies. And so if you want to know what we like, ask. And if maybe we don't know yet, ask us again and keep on asking. We'll figure it out. Help us discover it. Just like how every answer in the last podcast was uniquely different, and every answer in this podcast is uniquely different. All of us, all of our bodies, all of our pleasures, all of our beautiful trigger points are all exquisitely different. And just because it was a certain way with the last person doesn't mean it's the same with this one. And so the best thing you can do is ask. And also ask again. And then ask again. What do you want today? What do you want in this moment? What would give you pleasure right now? How can we enhance your pleasure in this moment? How can we connect? Oh, I love being asked. I absolutely love being asked. And with that, I'd love to turn it over to our lovely guests. The responses from the beautiful humans who were brave and sent in their voices to be featured here and to share their opinions. Are you ready? Let's begin.
What do I wish penis owners knew about women's pleasure? And I had a great conversation with my partner about it. And then I kind of broke it down into 3 things. So 3 things I wish penis owners knew about women's pleasure. And I'm going to start with number 3. And that is whoever you're interested in, and I'm speaking to the person with the penis, learn their body and their erogenous zones. Every woman's body is different. Every woman's pussy is different. So you can't kind of come at it from, well, I know about pussies, so I'm just going to do what I did, with the last person, or with what I think a pussy likes. You really have to take the cues from the pussy owner and take the time to learn their body. I mean, I realize not every sexual experience is, a long, lengthy session, but I think that there's a great amount of value in taking time to learn a person's body and what turns them on. So that's number 3. Number 2, learn a woman's sexual mind. The mind is such a huge erogenous zone. It's like crazy. And that is like their past experiences and their sexual fantasies and their kinks. There's so many things here to dive into, unlimited questions to ask, to explore together. And that in itself is just such a sexy moment to share fantasies. And so to really listen and pay attention to that person's sexual desires. And then tying those two pieces together is just huge. So if you know exactly what dirty talk to use while you know just how to stroke their pussy, you're going to get maximum pleasure from, for that woman. And I truly, truly, truly believe that. And then number one, and I say number one, and I'm this might be controversial, but I'm going to say it anyway, is learning a woman's cycle because during their cycle in a month, what a woman needs physically and emotionally and sexually changes. And that will fluctuate. And so being able to pick up on cues on that or talk about it, I think is really important. And it just means that you can tie in their fantasies and their physical body reactions just that much better. And that comes with time and spending and care, that really comes down to, wanting to learn about that and understanding your woman partner. So that's kind of what I wish penis owners knew about women's pleasure.
Yes. Oh my gosh, celebrating this response, and so excited that this one randomly ended up first, because these 3 points are just so key. Like going in order from 3, 2, 1, like learning your partner's body and their erogenous zones. Not every pussy is the same. Oh my gosh, that's so true, right? Like there is nothing more demoralizing than somebody coming, like some sexual partner being like, oh, but that's not what the last girl liked. And it's like, excuse me? I am not the last girl. I am this girl, okay? And telling me that, oh, your pussy is different than everyone else's. It's like, yeah, no shit, okay? My body, my pussy, it's different. Deal with it. And you know who is probably the biggest expert on that pussy? Is the woman who owns the pussy. So you know who you should probably ask about that pussy is probably them. Just a little tidbit there. And yes, learning their woman's mind, because so much of our pleasure exists in our minds and stems from the mind. Everything is connected and so much of it lives in the body, but it is in tandem with the mind. And so helping a woman, because like, I don't know about you guys, but I tend to overthink things. My mind can really go into some loops. And so it can be really, really helpful and grounding for somebody to speak things that really like bring my hearing and that sense online and into place. Like it's not just about touch. It's also about hearing. It's like, so all the sounds. It's also about smell. It's also about taste. It's also about what you can see, right? Like engaging all your 5 senses in sex really enhances the experience and brings you into the present. So if you ever have like issues being like really, really present in sex, that's something to really think about, is like, what are your 5 senses engaging in? Including like, if you ever have like fantasies about like having chocolate in your mouth during sex, like put chocolate in your mouth during sex. It doesn't need to be like elaborate licking off of someone's skin. Just like put it in your mouth. Okay, and then the most important part, and I am so glad that you brought this up, because the cycle, a woman's cycle, is so very important. And I think it is one of the key things. And also it's one of like the main senses in like one of the main ways to track a woman's health that we don't pay attention to. But oh my gosh, there are secrets in a woman's cycle that can just, when you're paying attention, can just hit that sweet spot immediately. Like, for example, did you know that the cervix actually changes its height and its distance from the vaginal opening depending on where you are in the cycle? So the cervix is higher closer to ovulation and lower closer to menstruation, which means that you can do different sex positions, right? If you know where they are in their cycle, you know when you can go in really deep and when you might need to be more shallow, right? Like this is really important information to know, right? You know when they're going to be a little more wet, usually in like the first half of their cycle, right? They're really like, there's lots of juices flowing, and then closer to menstruation, again, like that wetness kind of goes down. And so like, knowing when it's time to bring out lube, and knowing that like, oh, a lack of wetness doesn't actually mean that they're missing any sort of turn on. It just means that like, okay, it might take a little bit more right now. Or like, again, asking the person. Ask. Always great to ask. And oh my gosh, thank you so much for this response. Celebrating you for having this conversation with your partner, and especially the cycle. Yes. I cannot say enough yes to this. I feel like I could do an entire podcast episode just on that. And you know what? I probably will. All right, on to the next one.
I wish that men knew just how much women are traditionally conditioned to put everybody ahead of ourselves, and how that translates into every aspect of our lives, but in this case our sexual lives. I feel that women are traditionally and generationally conditioned to not just prioritize the pleasure of other people, but also the health, the well-being, of their partners, family members, children, and we're basically groomed to be the bedrock, the support system of our communities and of our families. And what in my opinion, when this translates into our love and sex lives, it means that we're not accustomed or conditioned to put ourselves first, to prioritize our own pleasure, to even explore what that would look like for us. Sometimes I know quite a few women who don't feel like that's a worthy pursuit for them, or that's not something that they're able to do, or it's something that they feel guilty about doing. So I think if that was at the forefront of the male mind, I think that sexual enjoyment would be more equal across sexes and genders. I also think that it would make for a better sexual experience, and I think women would be better able to ask for what they particularly need or what they enjoy, to be more vocal, to be more present, and to ultimately step into themselves a little bit more. And I would think that would make for a much better sexual and intimate experience.
Yes. This is an excellent point. And this comes from deep generational conditioning, I think. Like, think about, and I definitely might have already said this example before, but think about the fact that just over 50 years ago is when women first gained the privilege in the country and the lands now known as Canada, and I think in the US too, to have a credit card without their husband or their father signing for it, maybe even just husband. Like, we relied so heavily on a man, and so keeping that man happy was so important. Our welfare depended on it. So of course we weren't prioritizing our pleasure, we were prioritizing theirs. It was a safety mechanism. We had to keep ourselves safe. And it's really, really hard to relax into sex and into pleasure when you don't feel safe, right? The number one thing that comes up is usually, I don't feel safe, right? And it's figuring out how to feel safe. This also speaks to the very first point I made on both podcasts, that for centuries, women's pleasure has not just been oppressed, but has been actively told that it doesn't exist. And why did this happen? Well, okay, so there's a lot of guesses, one of which being that they feared the magic of a woman's power, especially women who worked together. So they took away our most potent sources of power, our pleasure. They took it away. Definitely more on that later on a different podcast. More practically, this looks like a woman may not always ask or know what to ask for. And so asking what you can do for her pleasure can be revolutionary. Prioritizing her pleasure first can also be really, really powerful, because on average, it takes women, this is a stat I read somewhere, on average, it takes women about 20 minutes to warm up. I'm pretty sure the stat on how long it takes men is usually about 5 minutes. Keep in mind that we have just as much erectile tissue as men. And it's just hidden. We both get wet and we both get hard. It's not that women get wet and men get hard. Women also need that erectile tissue to swell up and to be ready for penetration, right? It can be extremely painful to do it before a woman's ready. So it's very, very important to keep that in mind, I think, and to really prioritize a woman's pleasure, especially at the beginning. And asking, what can we do for you? And remember that if they don't answer right away, there's a possibility they're too shy, or they don't know, or really maybe they haven't been asked before. And so it takes a second to really kind of get through that. Like, there's an initial shock. There's an initial oh my God, what do I want? I'm being asked, and what do I want? Eventually the answer will come. So don't stop asking, and give them the space to answer. I promise it'll be worth it. All right, on to the next one.
What I would like men to know is that no one says a book is hard to read if they haven't learned how to read first. Same thing for women. Learn how to read us. And the signs are pretty clear. Are their heart beating faster? Are they breathing faster? Are they moaning? Are they looking like they're opening up? Or are they looking like they're closing up? Are they getting stiff? If they get stiff, as they contract, this means that you're moving too fast. Move slower. So if you really read them well, you will learn, you will explore what makes that person. And then every sexual encounter will be a mix of what makes you pick both of you. As I'm going to give a bonus, what I wish women would know more. So, first of all, if you want your partner to read you, don't give false signal. Don't moan for their self-esteem. Be honest and true to yourself. It will be a better service for your partner as well and for yourself. Don't have sex if you don't like it. You can stop at any time. And also it is your responsibility to learn what you like. Take a dildo, play with it. Try to see what makes it feel good. And then the next step, ask your partner to lay down and stay hard. And then you ride him. And when you ride him, you really, really try to see and explore. How does he feel inside you? How do you increase the pleasure? And it's by doing this that you can find ways to make it yummy for you, and your partner can take note of how are you moving for you to have the maximum pleasure.
You heard it here, folks. Ride that penis and show them where it feels best inside of you. Fuck yes. Thank you for this response. This is a needed extra dimension. Don't just ask with your words. Pay attention to your partner's movements, their breath, their stiffness. Oof, the stiffness that I felt there. Tension is usually not a good thing. And when you tense up and your partner doesn't pay attention to that, you often tense more. And then you stiffen, you close, you're less connected. Slowing down. It's something you can almost always do to really bring that connection back in. If she doesn't want you to slow down, I am pretty certain that she's going to be pretty vocal about that. So that's not something to worry about. And ladies, definitely don't give false signals. Moan when it feels good. Don't when it doesn't. Give them your authentic yeses and nos, and this builds trust. And lastly, one of my favorite topics, self-pleasure. Learning what you like. Self-pleasure is wildly important, and the ways in which you do it are super important too. When you are in partnered sex or having sex by yourself, your brain is wiring itself and rewiring itself, building neural pathways that your brain is going to start to follow automatically the more you do them. And so if you want to change something in your sex life, the best way to change it is to start with your self-pleasure practice, and then it will eventually wire that way so that when you're in your partnered sex, you're able to then choose that pathway, right? If you always have certain thoughts come up that you wish didn't, well then slow down in your self-pleasure practice, consciously choose a different thought, and you will rewire your neural pathways to go around that and to choose a different thought. Also, take your time. The longer you take, the more you get to explore all the different aspects of your sexuality. The more you get to dive into the 10 different erotic plateaus between initial turn-on and orgasm. I offer you this perspective as well. Self-pleasure is a form of self-care, and it is nourishment for your body. It is literally medicine. The longer you spend in that sexual energy, the more medicine you receive. It flushes you with a bunch of amazing chemicals that are super, super good for your body and leaves you glowing and feeling your best. Some people like fancy spas, but honestly, a good long self-pleasure session usually does a lot of the same thing.
What I would like men to know about women's pleasure is We want to feel emotionally connected to you, safe, adored, almost to the point of worship, in order to really maximize our access to pleasure. And sometimes being cuddled and receiving verbal affirmations is the most pleasurable option, depending on our mood. So emotional check-in first, pleasure later. Also, we need about 10 minutes of foreplay, 20 would be better. Let's just remind ourselves of that.
Yes, thank you for this response. We want to feel emotionally connected and safe and adored and worshipped. And wait, let's go back to safe, and we want to feel safe, and everybody wants to feel safe, and everybody needs to feel safe. We all need to feel safe. No matter our gender or sexual orientation, we need to feel safe. And this isn't just physical safety, this is emotional safety, this is spiritual safety, depending on your relationship to sex. Like, it is just all so important. Like, we need to talk about it. We need to bring it in. Like consent inspires a lot of safety, and I'm super pumped for an episode coming up on consent, all about consent. But safety is created within a person first, and then you need to know how to express your boundaries to create that safety for yourself, right? So there's so much of it that's created by yourself and then together with a person. And then there's an element of trust and history that goes into that safety as well. And so the worshipped, yes, let's talk about the worship. So let me tell you a beautiful way to worship a pussy. This is part of my pussy pleasure workshop series, the Pussy Worship Workshop. I have done this with a group of women, and I will be doing it again in the future, so hit me up if this is of interest to you. But oh my god, this is straight up magic. Okay, so you can do this with your partner. You can also do this with a group of women. Maybe that feels on edge for you. That's totally cool. Come and join us. You can do it with us. So basically, what you will do is somebody with a pussy will have their legs wide open and ready to receive the worship. You stare into their eyes first to connect with them. Connect with them on an eye level. And then lower your gaze to their pussy and drink it in. Like, give it a solid minute. Don't say anything, right? We don't want to hear you before you've really looked at it. And oh my god, this feels vulnerable, but it also feels beautiful. And it kind of makes you want to cry, because you realize that nobody's ever just like stopped to look and evaluate, and you're just being so freaking seen and so vulnerable. Your legs are open and you're just, oh my gosh, the beauty of this ritual cannot be overstated, and like really going into it with intention. And so once you've gazed at the pussy, you then say something beautiful about it. And this could go on for a while if you have tons of time and space, or maybe if you're doing it as ritual with multiple people, it could be something short, but something specific about that pussy and the way it looks, and something that really catches your eye about its radiance, the way that it just, folds and presents itself. And then the last step is you're going to thank pussy itself. Like the greater, like if you've ever read Pussy, a Reclamation, like the great pussy in the sky, like the pussy in general, right? Like thank it for birthing you, thank it for being tough, thank it for being like amazing and wet and wonderful, like just whatever comes to mind, and just like really pour that out. And it may seem like it's a little off track to like not be speaking directly to the person who owns the pussy, but the fact is that receiving the thanks for pussies in general really does make you feel like you're part of a collective whole. You're part of like a greater system. You're part of this like mystical, magical portal. Like babies enter the world through these portals, and like they truly aren't really in this universe until they come out of it. Like that is how all of us have come through. I don't know. Sometimes I get really just like, about this. And sometimes I'm like, what's a big deal? Anyway, so that's a moment of pussy worship. Highly recommend you do this practice. If you're interested to know more details, hit me up. I will let you know. Okay. So the next point, being cuddled and kissed when in a certain mood. I just want to point out that sounds very, very similar to certain points in a woman's cycle, is when she might want to be cuddled and kissed instead of fucked wildly. Just saying. And like knowing when to do what, ooh, yeah, that's really special. Especially because like, if you're really truly, if you're saying you're there for their pleasure, you got to actually listen to what will bring them pleasure in this moment. And sometimes you just want a massage, you know, like, actually my pussy's kind of good on orgasms right now. I want a massage. I want to be touched. I want to be loved in a different way and given pleasure in a different way. I also love the mention of emotional check-ins first, absolutely. And this goes back to the last episode about the invitation to create an intention before diving into that juicy sexual energy together. What are you looking to experience in this moment? Is it connection? Is it bliss? Is it soft pleasures? Really getting clear on that can really help direct, well, the direction of the sexual experience. And finally, okay, I want to talk about the word foreplay. Thank you for bringing this up. I love that it's like this casual thing at the end. You're like, 10 minutes is like really necessary. 20 minutes is better. I love that that exactly corresponds to what we mentioned like 2 responses ago. But I want to talk about the word foreplay. Okay? Because foreplay as a concept is wonderful. The word itself to me falls flat because it really does suggest that it's something that comes before you do sex. I don't know about you, but most of the activities in foreplay kind of feel like sex to me. And guess what? They are sex. A lot of the time, it's oral sex. And it's all the other juicy, wonderful parts about sex. Like, this really reinforces the idea. And I think that this is what we were taught, is that everything up until penetration is foreplay. And that sex is penetration, which it is not. It is so not. And so really taking out that word foreplay or changing that word, like, I'm up to votes. Send in some votes to me. Like, what do you want to change the word foreplay to? Do you have a better name for it? Because I don't like that word. I just think it's not great. It doesn't really illustrate what it is, which is just the beginning of sex. And it's all sex. It's all sex. Foreplay doesn't exist. It's all sex. Anyways, I really needed to get that point out. Whew. Like, we're all programmed to use that word, but really that is what it stems from when you think about it. It's all the things before penetration. Sex does not end in penetration. It does not have to include penetration. And it's not the thing we're leading up to. It is one aspect of many different sexual experiences that you can have, and it does not have to be included for it to be sex. And so that is why I'm not the biggest fan of the word foreplay. So thank you for bringing that into this episode, and let me know what you think about the word foreplay. All right, on to the next one.
What I want men to know about women's pleasure is that vulnerability is sexy, and if I sense that a man's heart is closed to me and is acting in ways that are destructive to the connection, I love to see a man cry. And if he can just surrender and allow himself to be vulnerable and to release whatever emotions he is holding on to that are creating these patterns of behavior, that is, for me, the most pleasurable thing.
Yes to vulnerability. Vulnerability is so sexy. This goes back to what I was saying at the beginning, where, you know, it's either you go in deeper or you retract, and you either have a chance to share and you have this beautiful opportunity to go in deeper and connect with your partner, or if you retreat, it's just kind of like you feel left out. You feel like there's something missing. You feel like, yeah, you can feel that tangible lack of connection, and it really like can pull you out of a sexy space, and it can really like interrupt anything that's going on. So in my young 20s, so into the crying, right? The crying and expressing vulnerable emotions. Oh my gosh. So when I was in my young 20s, I told myself that I could never marry a man unless I first saw him cry. And so I legit was holding a past partner of mine while he cried. And we'd been together for like a year already, and I still hadn't seen it. This was the very first time. And like the outer part of me was like holding him and like, you know, comforting him. And then the inside, I was literally like, yes, I can marry him now. And of course I didn't, but yeah, that's a whole other story. Also, if vulnerability feels really hard or, you know, too vulnerable, I would start by asking consent for your vulnerable share. I don't suggest simply opening up without saying something along the lines of, hey, so I would really love to talk to you about something that's a little tough to say. Do you have the capacity for that right now? right? And even setting a time boundary if that feels good to you, right? Like the other person saying, yes, but I only have 20 minutes. Does that feel like enough time to you? And maybe you can even set up the space, right? Like you could have time to go, okay, yes, and let's grab some tea, let's grab some blankets, let's establish, like casual touch in a certain position. And then and only then be like, okay, now open up. What's up? What's going on? That can really make a huge difference. And really asking for consent, asking if it's a good time to share, shows that you really care about their emotions and that you're not giving them more than they can handle, right? Like deciding this is a good time for me. Well, maybe it's not a good time for the other person, right? It's a two-way street, and asking for consent makes a huge, huge, huge difference. It establishes that safety, and it also lets them know just how important this is for you, right? If you say, hey, I have something that feels really vulnerable and is really tough to say, it automatically opens this like bubble of space where you can go deeper together, right? Because there's already so much compassion established at the beginning. So I really, really, really recommend asking for consent before sharing vulnerably. And this goes with friends too. It can be tough when somebody like just all of a sudden opens up about something and you didn't have any warning. But when you know, even like 10 seconds beforehand, also when you get the chance to say yes or no, right? Like, have you ever had somebody just kind of start telling like a really tough story to you and you're like, oh my God, I didn't have the space or the capacity to handle this right now. Like, how nice would it have been if somebody was like, hey, I have something really tough to share. Like, are you able to listen? And you could be like, no, but like, let me get back to you. I want to be there for you. But like right now I'm going through some shit, so I can't really listen, right? Like how wonderful would that be? So anyways, just throwing that out there because that is one of my favorite practices to be brought into every relationship of mine.
Something that I would love men to know about women's pleasure is to take their time. I guess in my previous experiences, I've felt a lot of the times that there was this kind of expectation to come really quickly, and that the more pressure that you put on the clit or the heavier you pound into somebody, that they're going to come quicker or harder. And at least personally, that's just not the case. I think it's really important to be able to go really slowly and build the intimacy up and to build the tension and to really pay attention to how the female body is reacting to certain touches and certain movements. And that's not to say that going hard isn't okay. It's great sometimes, but I just feel like I felt so pressured to come really quickly, and mentally it's not really possible for me to get there, and creating that safe and comfortable space to know that it's okay to go slow and that I'm not going to be coming immediately because I don't want to fake it, is okay, and it's cherished, and it's something that takes a little bit more time. I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that like on average it takes women like between 10 to 15 minutes to reach orgasm, and sometimes I felt that like that was the expectation, to come in like 1 or 2 and pretty much immediately. And yeah, I've really enjoyed being able to like take my time with my partner and to really build up that tension to a point where you just have this like ultimate and amazing release, because there's the comfort there and the space to be able to explore without having that pressure.
Oh my gosh, yes. Thank you for this response. Pressure is definitely a turnoff. Take your time. It's not always about going super fast. Absolutely, absolutely true. And also just the pressure to have an orgasm, that can be really stressful. Have any of you ever had that feeling where you know that your partner will not feel as good about the sexual encounter or about themselves if you don't have an orgasm? Like, I understand where that's coming from, and it's coming from a beautiful place, but it sucks. And the more you know it, the more it makes it harder. And that's a really easy trap to get into, right? You can get in your own head and stuff circles around and around and around. And then all of a sudden, it's just so much harder to get to that goal. So personally, I love it when it's stated very explicitly that that isn't a goal, that the goal is not orgasm and there's no expectation to. Sex doesn't end with orgasm. It just continues, right? And also that it doesn't end because there is an orgasm, and it doesn't not end just because there wasn't an orgasm, right? Female orgasms are kind of like trends. The more you try to make them happen, the less likely they are to. At least that's what some report. The more that you try, the more that you get stuck in your head, and it might not even happen. Also, women are said to take a long time. But it's only long if you consider that men are the standard, that men are the normal. So much of our world is measured by the standard of men and using men as that standard. Car safety is tested with men's bodies. Medication used to be solely tested on men, and so it didn't work properly on women, right? And it would be dangerous in certain quantities. The list goes on and on and on. And I'm sorry, we don't take a long time. We take the amount of time that we're meant to. We arrive precisely when we mean to. And you know what? It's only long if you consider that men are the normal. If we were the normal, if everything was measured against women, then men would be taking a short time, right? It's all a matter of perspective. Let's just think about it for a moment. I'm not saying that men finish too quickly. I am saying let's think about the standard and the double standard, and let's just say this is how long this takes and this is how long this takes. And it's not about somebody being longer or somebody being shorter. It's about this is how it is, and this is how I am, and this is how you are, and this is how each of us are individually. So in this book, Sex at Dawn, which is all about primate mating and how our biological sex and the way we have sex has evolved based on like evaluating like primates and like prehistoric life. There's a lot of assumptions in it, but basically it talks about how women take longer, and once they orgasm, they just keep being able to orgasm, versus men orgasm quicker, and then they tend to lose that connection to their sexual energy afterwards. Not always, but you know, this is a generalization. And this would be apparently because there would be another male primate waiting to get in on that. And so that one woman would be pleasured by many men in succession. And that would think about the fact that, so that would actually increase male fertility, because the sperm would have to compete to be the strongest, to be the one that actually fertilizes the egg. So there'd be multiple different fertilizations in one go round. And there'd also, it also speaks to the fact that we, hear the sound of somebody fucking and we get turned on ourselves, right? Because that might have been built into our biology so that we hear somebody else fucking and then we go and we join, it's kind of all linked. Take it with a grain of salt. It's just a theory. But this is how our closest primates do it. This doesn't mean that anyone is inadequate. This doesn't mean that it takes multiple men to pleasure a woman, although that is a great time. It is simply worth considering the human biology of it all, right? And it's not saying, it's really, really, this is not meant to say that anybody takes too long, that anybody's too short, nothing like that. It's let's just take all that judgment off the table for everyone. I just want it to be that you take the time it takes and that's it. And we're all fundamentally different, whether different genders, different sexes, different humans. We're just different in this way. And I would love to just encourage you to honor those differences and love those differences for what they are and play with those differences, right? They're juicy and they're beautiful. And it's just a fact. It's part of life. Accept it, play with it, honor it. Don't fight it. All right, on to the next one.
What do I wish that men knew about pleasure? Well, that sex is not the pinnacle of pleasure. It's about connection and exploring the intricacies of your bodies, getting lost in each other's caresses, being kissed, lost in all the movements. It's about respecting boundaries and ensuring needs are being met. It's two forces coming together and creating sensuality. Real pleasure lies in being seen, heard, and celebrated.
Honestly, mic drop. And yes, our culture places way too much importance on sex, but it's so much more about intimate connection and touching. I would really suggest exploring sexual energy without doing any classical sex acts. You know the ones I'm talking about. And explore sensual touch and breathing together and see where other modalities can take you. You may start to notice that it's really more about connection and touching and the sexual energy. To me, sex is the energy, not the act. I was being taught roleplay once, and the teacher put it so beautifully. She talked about the connection between the tire and the tide, and she sat really purposefully with a certain energy at like this certain angle with the person being tied, and explained how she was already tying her because the intention and the energy was there and you could feel it. And I see sex as the same. Once you enter into that sexual energy together, and it does have to be together, you are having sex. And that is why foreplay doesn't exist. Second mic drop.
What do I wish men or penis owners knew about women's pleasure? And this was such a cool question to sit and think on this morning, because the first thing that came forward for me was that I know there's the physical side to this, but there's that energetic side as well, and that's actually what came forward for me first. Was before anything, you need to have that sense of safety, and I think that that's like the number one. Like for women, I think that especially in today's day and age, so many of us walk around in our heads, various traumas or societal conditioning or whatever it might be, but we're all just in our heads so much. And when you are with a man that is able to provide you with that container, that sense of a bit of a sense of safety and understanding, it allows, of course I speak for my own, for myself, of course, but I feel that it allows you that opportunity to settle back and get out of your head, because you know that you don't have to be in your head. You don't have to try to protect yourself from whatever little things might be around, and you can settle into your body and you can relax and you can enjoy. And I think that that's such a first step with pleasure, and you can sit into your more authentic energy, which is different for everybody. And for myself, it is being much more in the feminine energy. And I find that just being able to be in that space with somebody brings me so much pleasure, because it is more aligned to who I am at my core. So that's a first step for me. And then as I was thinking about this as well, one other thing that really came forward was that I wish that men removed their ego from it. Especially as you get into the physical and sexual and everything. Like, so many men tie their ego to women's pleasure, and when they do that, it makes it's not about my pleasure then. It's really about you and yours and your validation that you get from my pleasure. And I find that takes away from me, that adds that pressure, and it doesn't allow you to sit back and relax or enjoy or be part of the journey. It almost feels more performative then, that when that happens, like if you don't, reach orgasm or whatever it isn't about you, it's about them. So I find that really takes away from me. So yeah, I guess to sum that up, something I wish men understood was that, for women, I think we're much more energetic and, with our pleasure. They say that men are much more about the physical and what they're seeing, but, and I think that for women, we're much more energetic with it and more about the feeling that we have and the container we're provided to be able to enjoy and explore. Because when it comes down to actual pleasure, like if you want to get into the nitty gritty of the physical of it, there's those times that those soft touches work, or there's times that harder touches work, or sometimes that someone being really dominant over you is really doing it for you. It always shifts and changes, but within all of that, there's that safety piece that it doesn't matter what you look like. It's how energetically connected and safe do you feel. I mean, with that said, obviously, obviously you want to find them attractive. That's just a given. I wish that men understood that, especially with vaginas, they can, and nipples and everything, anal, everything, you can take a lot. Women, we're soft, and I know we're perceived as being very delicate and whatever else, but we can handle a lot. We're built, I don't want to say we're built for pain, but we can tolerate a lot of pain. And I'm not saying pain is where this should be going, but it's more that because our bodies are designed differently, we can handle a lot. And in that line between it, there's that line between pain and pleasure where it's intense, there's intense pleasure there. So with that in mind, you can have, there's a lot of freedom in that. You can have a lot of fun. And so you can do a lot of things with a vagina or with nipples. I'm not saying go right in and twist someone's nipple really hard off the bat. That really hurts. But the amount of pleasure that you can gain when you build someone towards it, and you build up that pressure and that, thinking about a nipple, that pressure, that as you provide more sensation, a little bit more pain, a little bit more tension there, and you build and build, it can become ecstatic. And I wish men understood that it's not about, and maybe this is a variation for men, when a man puts his penis inside of you right away, that feels really good. Whereas I feel like for women, there's so much more to the build up to it, building into it and building more and more. Because the more time you take to build it up, the more incredible it is. And I wish that I wish men embraced that more and understood that more.
Oh my gosh, I just love how much there is in common with so many of our responses. And it's so beautiful to see. And I love how these two episodes really show us how similar we all are and also how unique we all are. It is so, so beautiful. One of those similarities is safety. Safety for absolutely everybody. Oh, safety is so important. Safety is knowing and trusting that someone will respect your boundaries. Safety is knowing you won't be pressured in any certain way. Safety is knowing that your emotions will be considered and cared for. Safety is feeling worshipped and feeling like you are enough. Safety is knowing that you won't be mocked or challenged for asking for something new. Safety is in the trust that you can just be yourself, show up authentically, and be fully accepted. God, that's so fucking sexy. There is nothing more sexy. And yes, it will get a woman to open up in all ways. Open up her legs, open up emotionally, open up her heart. That sort of safety. Some of it is built through time and through repetition and trust, but there's a lot of talking about stuff that can build that safety, right? There's safety in knowing that you've had a conversation around birth control, right? That's really, really, really important. So if you don't have the time and the space with somebody for a long period of time to build that up, let's say it's the very first time you're sleeping with somebody, a conversation is so important. When I think back to earlier times in my life where I'd have sex without really talking to the person about it, it feels so foreign to me because it really is so, so important to have a conversation. You're about to engage with each other in such an intimate way. You got to be able to have those vulnerable chats, and it'll make the sexual experience so much better, so much more connected, so much more exploratory too. If you're able to just get some things out on the table before that sexual energy builds to a point where you just can't ignore it anymore. Oh yeah. Damn, that is where the juice is. And yes to the energy. Tap into that sexual energy. Feel into it. That is so, so, so powerful. And remove your ego. Yes, thank you. It is about our pleasure. It's not about your ego. And this goes back to what I said at the very beginning. Is your ego worth more than their pleasure? If it is, we'll know. We know. We can feel it. Also, I love the vaginas can take a pounding, and yes, definitely can. And also it's a very personal thing, right? This doesn't just mean you can pound it out. Like, yeah, it does take some building, definitely building up to it. And again, asking, knowing like, okay, this is the pressure I like on my tits and this is the pressure I like here, right? Like, and that can be part of that conversation before you have sex for the first time, right? It's so important to get these things out. And also building up the pleasure. Slowly building it up and edging towards it and not quite getting there and touching the edge of the ocean of pleasure, but like not quite stepping in yet. Oh boy, the more you build it up, the stronger it gets. Whew. Oh yes. All right, on to the next one.
What I wish men and penis owners knew about women's pleasure. I wish that men knew way more about foreplay. And by foreplay, I don't just mean oral sex on me or on him or fingering or whatever. I actually mean sensualism, like sensual foreplay. So I really wish there was a way of men being more in touch with the sensual aspect of foreplay in ways that they wouldn't expect, like feeding me or giving me a scalp massage or, giving me a naughty look across the dinner table. Things like that, they build up into this bank account of, I'm consistently being triggered into wanting to, have sex later. And I really wish that men knew more about that. I also wish, because I feel like men just want to like get it in, get it over with or something. And while that can be pretty sexy too, foreplay is really so underrated. And I think we should change that.
Yes. Thank you so much for this. I love this theme of foreplay that's coming around. And then it's not just about the sexual acts that happen before penetration. And yes, I am still on the lookout for a better term for this because I still think foreplay is not the right word for it. It really takes it out of the context of sex and treats it as something different. And it's not. It's really not. Dirty talk, looks across the room, flirting over dinner. Oof, yes. Thank you for this. This can go a really, really long way. And like the more anticipation, the better. Letting people know your desires well ahead of time so that you could both be fantasizing about it for a while. Ooh, yeah, that is some potent sexual energy, right? Like the longer it gets a chance to stew and grow and it can enhance it so much. Knowing somebody else's desires in the moment is amazing. But when you've had a long time to think it through, and like how you would execute it and how you want to receive it, it gets to be even more yummy. And this really talks to setting intentions beforehand. That like desires can be a way of setting intentions. Like what do you desire to feel? And even like what do you desire to feel tonight when I see you, right? Like a couple voice notes back and forth. Oh yeah, let that stew it all up.
What do I wish men knew about women's pleasure? I can only speak for myself, but I wish that men knew that every woman is different and that just because they are a master at one, they are not a master of all, or if they think that they're really good with women, that they just do the thing that they do and they don't ask questions or explore each woman individually. And I wish that more men did that. I think that pleasure can be a conversation or like an interactive process as opposed to, I know how to drive a car, so I'm going to drive every car the way I drive my SUV, like not all cars drive the same.
I love that in this example, our pussies are cars, but I will definitely take that. You need to drive each car to know how it drives differently, right? If you trade in your sedan and now you have a truck, you need to learn its new dimensions and how it moves through the world. And I love that there's so many similar trends coming up here, and one is ask, right? Ask. We are all... Sorry, okay. We are all different. What do you like? What brings you pleasure? Always welcome questions and really let us know that we are in the hands of someone who cares. And asking us those things builds safety. It builds trust, right? Oh, they're going to ask me so that they don't, accidentally do something that isn't to my liking, So it's so important for building safety. And there's also an art in knowing when is the best time to ask a certain thing, right? Like sometimes it's best to ask it in the context and in the interaction with the sexual energy and with your physical bodies there to be able to really answer properly. Questions like, does this feel good? Or how do you like to be touched here? Much more effective in the moment versus questions like, what are your fantasies? Or like longer-winded questions about like where you'd like to explore in sex next. Much better asked outside the context. And especially maybe reflecting on events of your last sexual encounter outside of the context of sex, right? Give aftercare and make sure that both people feel very, very complete in that sexual experience before then moving to, okay, so I noticed that this happened. Like, do you want to tell me about it? Like, I'm curious if, something came up for you. And like, here's a heavy one, talking about any like sexual trauma that you maybe want to share with your partner that might be really helpful for them to know so that they can care for you better and so that there is greater safety for you. Definitely better asked outside of the bedroom.
What do I wish men knew about women's pleasure? Well, yeah, there are a few things that I've realized is society and porn and different things have taught men that you need to go fast, you need to go hard, you need to really pound it in. But actually, that's painful. It's actually, there is a moment in time for it, but majority of the time, that is actually not the most pleasurable. It actually creates pain that women believe is meant to be pleasure. And we kind of ignore it and give a different meaning to our pain rather than actually acknowledging it as what it is. So yeah, whenever you're just pounding away every opportunity you get, just going hard and slamming the vaginal walls, it's painful. So, and I bet it's not the most pleasurable for you as well. So you can just take it easy. And go at a pace that feels good and slower, to you. And for women as well, it will feel really good. So to give an example, whenever you're in doggy, if you're just going at it, just hard every time you're in doggy, it actually just ends up being painful, like slamming against the vaginal wall. I noticed it actually starts creating lower back pain as well. I actually thought that there was something wrong with my internal organs to the point where it was that painful. It can also be depending on the curvature of the penis, and there could be so many different factors and nuances to this. This is just one experience, actually. But yeah, and then I realized, it's just the hard motion of it. the pounding. So yeah, and then as soon as I communicated this, and my partner said, oh, actually, it's not that pleasurable for me either. Like, going slow is equally as pleasurable. And yeah, we were able to enjoy doggy in a variety of speeds and forms, and not just the pounding as you see in porns. So that's my advice to men. You don't have to always pound it to feel like you're really giving it to them. To women, you can take it easy as well.
Yes, thank you. Slow down. But also, I love how this shows the differences in all of us. There was an earlier response that spoke about how pussies can take a pounding, and both are true. It depends on where we are in our cycle, how we feel that day, how much warm-up time we've had, how turned on we are, and who we are as people. We are not all the same, and our bodies don't respond the same either. This illustrates super well how all of the advice given by these brave feminine souls all ties together and goes with one another. All right, so what are the major takeaways? And these are, in no particular order, the synthesized thoughts that I have after listening and reflecting on all the answers that have been given. Number 1, safety is paramount. It cannot be overstated how important it is to build and maintain safety. Number 2, ask what brings them pleasure. Ask what they like. Ask what they desire. Ask. It can never, ever hurt. Number 3, learn your partner's body, their reactions, their erogenous zones, and their minds, their kinks, their fantasies, everything. Learn your partner. Number 4, pay attention and check in on your partner's emotions and where they're at in their cycle. Number 5, every person is different. Just because you knew your last partner very well doesn't mean that any of that intel translates to the beautiful body that is now in front of you. Number 6, vulnerability is sexy. Number 7, foreplay, or all parts of sex that come before penetration, is equally, if not more important than penetration itself. It should not be overlooked, skipped, or taken for granted. This is sex, the playfulness, the dirty talk, the slow steps down into your erotic selves. Dive deep and embrace it. Number 8, take your time. Slow down. Number 9, it's not all about sex all the time. Kissing, cuddling, massaging, sensual touch, all of that is amazing too. We don't always want to be fucked. Check in and see what feels right now. Number 10, take your ego out of it. Show us that you care about our pleasure. Don't just tell us. It's so much more about how you react to a situation than what actually happened. And last but not least, self-pleasure is nourishment, and you can use it to change your sexual reality as well as learn what you like so that you know what to ask for. And that goes both ways. Thank you so much for listening. If you liked this episode and would like to support us, please share it with one person, one friend. It means so much to the podcast. If you would like to be kept informed about the podcast, new offers, workshops, and more, you can do so in one of two ways. Either sign up for the WhatsApp announcements channel or sign up for our email list. Both of those links can be found in the podcast notes. And finally, for those of you who are local to Vancouver, as previously stated, there are 2 new workshops coming up. March 19th, we have Unlocking Love, a heart-opening experience. It is a beautiful set of exercises that will open up your heart space and allow you to experience love and connection on whole new levels. And March 26th is Embodied Emotional Release. It's basically like yoga, but for your emotions. We will explore them, stretch them, work them out very gently, connect with them, breathe with them, and sit with them. But from a non-triggered way, so you can really learn better emotional management. And man, it does wild things for the resilience in your life. Those links can be found in the podcast description as well. All right. Thank you. I love you. And with that, we come to the end of this episode of Reclaim Your Radiance. Thank you so much for listening in. If you enjoyed this episode and came away with some valuable insights, the absolute best way you can show your support and appreciation is by sharing it with your friends or on social media. Your support is absolutely invaluable. To connect, find us on Instagram at @HellOfAHall or on TikTok at Reclaim Your Radiance. Or you can sign up for our mailing list to receive bonus content and stay in touch with what's happening in the world of Reclaim Your Radiance, including local workshops, retreats, self-love courses, personal one-on-one coaching, and so much more. Head on over to the episode notes in the show description to find those links, and we hope to hear from you soon. All right, everyone, until next time, stay radiant.